Welcome back to the second half of All About Money with me, Chloe Fong. Joining me today is Jorch Wong, the founder of the Loops Hong Kong, a startup looking into creating a better waste recycling system in Hong Kong. Thank you for joining us today, Jorch.
Thank you for having me. I'm Jorch from the Loops.
Yeah, and now let's also talk about the recycling industry in Hong Kong. In fact, it's not an easy business in the SAR, especially when it comes to the recycling of plastics. With low profits, the plastic recyclers are very struggling to stay afloat, and the markets are actually shrinking. So tell us more about that. Why it is so hard for the plastics to be recycled?
Well, the main reasons of the difficult part of recycling plastic is not about the it's not about the selling or the price of the plastic. Sometimes when the market needs the plastic flakes, like before in the starting of the COVID-19, there we can see the demand of the plastic is increasingly significantly. So have increased significantly, and the price has going up and up, like be very expensive for per ton. It's talking about like 15,000 per ton of raw materials at that moment. So the point is that it's just not about we cannot find a way to sell it. You cannot find a good price to sell it. The point is that making this ton of plastic flakes really costs us a lot of effort and costs us a lot of time to handling. So we have to spend a lot of effort to collect this material. We have to spend our effort on sorting, on cleaning, because what we have sourced from Hong Kong market is really, you can see anything in the recycling bin. Not only bottles, you can see a lunchbox, you can see a baby diaper, you can see anything you can find. So the cost is matters.
Right. But what about the markets in other regions, for example, on the Chinese mainland or the US or Europe? Like, are there any differences when it comes to the recycling industry, especially the plastics?
This is very different from Hong Kong, from comparing with other countries or regions. That Hong Kong is very special in recycling. We don't have any education since we are in the kids. When myself in the kindergarten, in primary school, I have never think of any idea of this plastic. I have no idea what is recycling, how should we do it. But in China or in US, in Europe, in Japan, they, from the very small age, when they will be taught that this plastic have to wash it completely. They have to wash it very clean and separate them into single type of category, and they have to make sure that everything is doing great. So for the recycler from mainland China or also in the US, Europe, they can easily source and get some clean recycling materials, some clean recyclables to put into their recycling machine. So because of the right category they have made, and also they make sure this material are very clean, which help them to make even the plastic grading into a next level. That really help them to sell or do other trading. That really being a big difference for being a recycler in Hong Kong and other places.
Right, so actually education plays a very important role in this whole process. And especially when we have the awareness and when we have the habits, it's going to change a lot. I know that, for example, in Taiwan, they are actually a very successful, model for the world to learn from. In Taiwan, when it's time for collecting the waste, the government actually assign different kind of trucks with very interesting music to inform the residents to say that, okay, now it's time to go downstairs to, dispose of your garbage and then to separate your garbage. So I think, yeah, we definitely have a long way to go and to learn as well. But actually, there is also a good news from the Hong Kong SAR because last February, the SAR government, especially the Environmental Bureau, updated the waste blueprint for Hong Kong 2035, setting out visions including three main elements, and they are the waste reduction, resources circulation, and zero landfill. The environmental chief, Mr. Wong also pleaded that we will not send waste into our landfill by 2035, and that's in 13 years. The blueprint also outlines some support for the recycling industry, particularly the SMEs. The recycling fund that was launched in 2015, and now the government had injected an extra funding of $1 billion last April to support sustainable development and for business like yours. So has your company applied for this fund yet? And how will it help similar businesses in Hong Kong?
Although my company did not really rely on the government fund because I think we have our ability to own our business, but it is still very happy to see we have a helping hand designs. In fact, I have applied for a small amount of funding before for purchasing a machine for recycling. So it wasn't like a lot of subsidies there. Like the machine is $20,000, so they support for 10,000. So the amount is not a lot for help, but it's really still very warm and very good to see someone is supporting your business. So I have purchased a machine, so it costs like for 20,000, and the government, the fund have sponsored half of it, which is this $10,000 for the amounts that really help a bit and give me some warm help when I have to buy this machine.
Right, and also coupled with the new legislation, the waste charging law that was passed last August. So do you think that there will be more room for this industry to grow in the future or in the near future?
Yes, definitely yes. It's not only, it's because when talking about the cost, like I have mentioned it before, the problem now is people don't aware why do they have to recycle, because when they put away their waste, it will be $0, or I have to put any time or any cost or any money cost in the recycling. So in these comparisons, the majority will choose the $0 because they have no effort to do on it. But now with the waste charging law, the scheme, like people have a cost when they have to put away their waste. So they will start thinking that I should do something to cut these laws. So I will they can put their effort to wash their waste. They have to put it in different recycling bins or going to a different recycling store. So it will help people to understand the needs of recycling business. Like talking about my business, like when people have to pay a same amount when they have to put away their waste or joining our recycling program. So I believe that more people will engage and they will be more willing to pay for any service about recycling.
Although we have these measures, do you think the current measures and the legislations will be enough to help Hong Kong to reduce the waste, to reach the goal of zero landfill, and also to help the green businesses like yours? Would it be enough?
Well, I believe that the government did change a lot in these 2 years, especially on the environmental issue. So I think they making a lot of change, such as and putting a lot of budget on different scheme, including the recycling store, and they have a different pilot with a plastic recycling program that we can see. In these 2 years, we can see a lot of promotions all around. So I think the government have paid some effort on it. So for if they want to achieve the goals of zero landfill, of course, this is a long way to go. But it's true that they are doing some good program to help this business.
What else do you think the government should do more to help boost this, industry to grow better?
I think it's very important to see how we execute the price charging, like the waste charging scheme. So if the execution doesn't work very perfectly, or also when or maybe the costs are relatively very low, like they giving no cost or no burden to anyone in Hong Kong, which will cause this scheme into a total fail. If we relying on this scheme will help us to grow the recycling. So I believe that the government have to focus on how to work this better.
Right. And what is your vision for the recycling industries in 5 years' time?
I believe that in the recycling in 5 years is very essential and very critical, because not only like in one part, in the residential recycling part, they have to face for the waste charging scheme. They have to pay for when they are handling or managing their waste. So they will have some different alternative to choose, like other recycling service. And for the corporate level, that this is very obvious that many different corporate have their visions and to do something about sustainability and do something about the recycling. So is more companies are starting to form their sustainability team, and they have to starting their new sustainability project. So in 5 years or maybe 3 years, that we can see there is a lot of this kind of program or project will be coming up to the market.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to that outcome. But before we wrap up, can you also share with us a little bit more about, as ordinary residents in Hong Kong, how can we also, contribute our part better at our homes to reduce waste in our daily life? Do you have any tips?
I think we don't have to think this into a very complicated, or what we have to do is very trouble. No, all we have to do is try to recycle one plastic a day. When you start recycling one plastic a day, like maybe the other day you recycle 3 plastic bottles. So after you're trying to do the recycling, you will start to realize that this is not that difficult for you to wash some addition bottles or do some very easy cleaning before you go to recycle. So after you use to the living model of recycling, and you will start realize that, oh, maybe this time I can reuse this bottle, or maybe I can reduce by bringing my own bottles. So this thing, recycling is a starting point for everyone to trying to understand what is happening in Hong Kong or the place we live, and they can start to reduce and reuse and use other alternatives to do something good to our planet.
Well, thank you so much for your time. That was Jorch Wong, the founder of the Loops Hong Kong, dedicated to making Hong Kong a more sustainable society. We'll be back on HKIBC next Sunday. Good night.